that the marginal cost of energy is going to zero. So let me just explain that really briefly. If you today go back to your home, you pay PG&E some prevailing rate for energy generation. If you actually look at your bill, you may have noticed that that bill has compounded by between 3 and 11% a month over the last decade, and it will compound at 3 to 11% a month for the next decade. And the reason is not because it costs that much more money to make the energy. In fact, making the energy is zero. You stick a solar panel up on your roof and you stick a battery wall, it's zero. What costs money is that there is an exchange that these utilities have signed up for. The government has said, I will give you monopoly pricing power, but I'm going to hold you accountable and make sure that you spend some amount of money on a regular basis. So in California, as an example, PG&E is going to spend $200 billion upgrading the power lines, which are like 40 and 50 years old. They have, seawalls to protect the Diablo nuclear reactor. They have turbines that are broken. All of that stuff is incredibly inefficient. It doesn't work. It causes lots of outages. It's not available all the time. And that results in the rising cost of that. But at the same time, we as an American society has decided we don't want to fight wars anymore. We don't want to fight wars, particularly over resources. And there is a way to make, resource abundance a practical thing. The last 3 bills in America that have passed, the BIL, the CHIPS Act, and the IRA, has essentially created $750 billion of incentives to get the cost of energy to zero. So you as a consumer in the next few, months literally, will be able to sign up for a lease product, $30, $40, $50 a month, that is guaranteed to always be 30 to 40% cheaper than your utility, and somebody in 30 days will come and stick solar panels on your roof and a battery system. And by law, every ounce of energy you don't use, you'll be allowed to sell back into the grid where PG&E has to pay you. So all of a sudden, 100 million people in the home are going to compete with the 1,700 utilities in America. That's going to turn the entire energy infrastructure of this country upside down. It'll make energy so abundant and so free that now you can use that energy for all kinds of impractical ideas that are now going to move into the realm of the practical. That's a huge idea. It touches batteries, it touches the supply chain, it touches rare earths, it touches critical metals, it touches control infrastructure, software, hardware, data centers, everything. And then separately, the cost of compute is basically going to zero. And the reason is that you cannot think about Moore's law and transistor density anymore. It's irrelevant. You have to think of teraflops and compute capacity. And that has been linearly compounding so that you can see that it effectively doubles also between every 18 and 24 months. And the reason is because we're using more ASICs, more GPUs, more FPGAs, and all of that stuff you can write to now in Amazon and GCP and Azure simply. If you take those two things together and you multiply them, it is nuts the kind of problems you can solve. When OpenAI raised $1 billion from Microsoft, they took that money and they bought compute and data center capacity. They had to pay huge power bills and huge compute bills. And think of what they created. Incredible stuff. DALL-E, GPT-3. That $1 billion of spend will be like $1 million of spend in less than 10 years. So if you spend $1 billion 10 years from now, you will accomplish 1,000 times more than what those models were able to generate. Well, what problem do you want to solve? There's a lot of people that'll be running around with $1 billion, who can fund things. Governments, NGOs, foundations, companies, right? VCs. So when I really internalized that, I started to put together sort of like a 10-year investing plan. At the end of it, the honest takeaway, Oren, is that as an individual, I just couldn't do it on my own. I would have done it on my own, but I couldn't do it for the ambition that I have to be at the edge of helping that. I needed to partner with organizations, and specifically I wanted to partner with governments and large institutions that have a real need for this. So I'll give you one example. If you take the cost of energy and the cost of compute going to zero, the most interesting human problem that I would like to help solve is a computational biology one. So if you shift the realm of disease-solving ideas away from labs and away from in vitro or in vivo speculation to in silico speculation, what you can do is essentially now start to build a human body model in silicon, and you can try to do drug discovery in a completely different way. You can literally brute force simulate 10 to the 33 molecules. You can figure out every single permutational combination of every single human protein in the human body. Does anybody know what that will solve? None of us knows, but we have a right to find that out. But I need to partner with those institutions who can write a 10 or 15 or $20 billion check. I can write some amount of that, and so that's why I thought Fund 5 made sense. And
so it's Fund 5 basically focused on energy. Is
energy,
what I'm hearing?
Well, energy transition, life sciences, and deep tech are sort of like the three that I think are these massive mega trends